Subhanallah. Allah. Ya Allah. Allah. Allahu Akbar. Allah.
Assalamu alaikum, and welcome back to the world of Islam. Our travels in the world of Islam have brought us to the United States of America, and we're in Seattle, Washington, on the campus of the University of Washington, and we're being sponsored by the MSA here in the Islamic House. And I'm joined by the director of the Islamic House, Brother Ahmed James. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
And thank you for inviting us and making this facility available for us to interview our young brothers and sisters who are studying here in the university. But Ahmed, as we begin, just tell us a bit about yourself and how you came to Islam.
Well, I was born and raised here in Seattle, Washington. I brought up in a roughly Christian background like many Americans. My family wasn't really practicing. I might go to church on the special holidays a few times a year. But other than that, no real religious upbringing until high school when I went to a Catholic school. And that's when I started becoming interested in religion. And more than just religion, I started becoming interested in those big questions that everyone has somewhere inside them. Like, what happens when I die? What is the purpose of life and things like that. And I was being taught about Christian history and Catholic history and different prayers and things. But I never felt like this is for me. I never felt like really drawn to it in any way. So during high school, I started reading about different religions. I took a comparative religions class that was actually offered at school, and they taught about Buddhism, Hinduism, Islam, Taoism, and things like this. And I became very interested in no specific religion, but just learning as much as I could about the different religions. And I guess Islam didn't jump out at me at that point, really, yet. I think the first real expression or exposure to Islam that I had is in high school. I read the biography of Malcolm X. And it was a book that really changed my life. And it wasn't like I want to be Muslim right away, but it just changed things about how I looked at the world.
I interview a lot of people, and a lot of people say the same thing. Can you just expand a bit on what was the impact of the book on you? When you first picked up the book, what did you expect? And when you finished it, what was its impact on you?
Well, I've also heard that. I mean, every convert pretty much that I've ever met in my life or revert has said that book, if it wasn't the one thing that drew them to Islam, it was one of the major things. Very powerful book and amazing read. But I mean, for me, I grew up kind of in the hip hop community, and that was the music I like to listen to and stuff like that. And in fact, that was the first time that I heard the word Allah. Was in hip hop rap music,
But when you heard it, did you recognize it?
Yeah, I mean, and then it kind of was subconscious. To me, I was just bobbing my head to the beat and stuff like that. It sounded good, but it was kind of it was like the seed was planted in me at that time, and you would hear a lot of whether the rapper had a proper understanding of Islam or not. Allahu Alam, because there's a lot of Sunni Muslims that in the African American community that make the hip hop music. There's also Nation of Islam and 5%ers historically, but and they would also talk about Malcolm X, and in certain areas of Seattle there's murals of Malcolm X and things like this. He's a respected person in the community, and a girlfriend of mine at the time actually was reading the book for school, and I said, yeah, I should read that. I want to know who this person is that people are talking about. And so I really didn't know what I was getting myself into at the time. But, you know, just his life as a journey. I mean, it's so reflective of that period of time at America, in America, and also of today in America. And just as a person, you know, America is a very racialized place. I mean, you know, race is something we can't escape from. And, you know, growing up in an inner city that's very multicultural, I felt I could relate in many ways to Malcolm X's journey, and you know, but when he went on the Hajj and he changed his viewpoints a little bit, that's when I was really impressed. And there's a quote, it's very famous and well known now, that he says that I believe that Islam is the only thing that can cure the racism from the hearts of America. And that really stuck with me for the rest of my life. And I mean, he said, you know, when I was on Hajj and when I'm in the Muslim countries, you know, there are white people, there are black people, and people are called, he said, there's a white man or there's a black man, but it's as a description. You know, he has lighter skin, he has darker skin, but it's not as a category that you cannot, you know, get out of, and that has its connotations. So, you know, it really spoke a lot to me at that point in time. And so I guess kind of getting back to where I was going. So that was my first kind of exposure to Islam. But I kind of was still searching for a path in life, you know. I had some friends of mine in high school that died in car crashes and things like that. And I actually had a near-death experience in a car crash also myself. And so I became more fed up with the average high school life, go on to college. As we see, we're here on the college campuses, there's frats right across the street where there's parties every day and stuff like that. Yesterday was Cinco de Mayo.
But not to get off track here, but what is it like being a Muslim and having this place in the midst of all the things which are around you?
You know, I think for me it's a great reminder, because if you read the Quran, and the Quran is a constant reminder of death and a constant reminder of the afterlife, the akhirah, and that, you know, this is a test here. And when you see people that are so engulfed in this, and this is all that it is, you know, it gives you a beautiful perspective. And I think, you know, maybe a lot of people can be called to that. A lot of Muslims are, you know, drawn away from Islam by the, you know, the allure of this dunya, really, and the pleasures of the dunya. But I think when you come out of a place like this, when we come here and meet with the brothers, or we come here for prayer, and you walk out amongst that, you have a different perspective, and it's not so strong an allure anymore. And being someone who was non-Muslim before, I think I had a lot of Muslims, converts have a certain immunity to that, because they know what it's really like. They may have been there, they may have been at that exact party a few years ago, and they know it might be fun in the moment, but in reality, it's not an everlasting or an eternal happiness.
But on the same point, how important would it be for a new student coming to a big university to make sure he comes to a group like the MSA or associates and affiliates with Muslims?
I mean, I think you cannot put a price on how valuable that is. I mean, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that you are the religion of your friends. And I mean, your hearts are naturally drawn to like hearts and things like this. And being a minority in this environment, in America in general, and in the West, is very hard to keep afloat without that